Okay, everyone, I'm back again. Yeah, my little break to go and find my papers for my signatures ended up turning into me having to go and help unload a load of hay bales and do chores and a bunch of other things. And so it's actually the next day and I'm back at it. So I picked some papers for my signatures and I actually cut them already off camera. I'll put a link in the corner to a video where I show the simple and easy way that I use to cut these to size. So what I chose, I'll just show you guys. I used a couple more of these papers for the outside. I'm going to do 2 signatures in here. And then I picked 7 of these either tea or coffee dyed pages. So these are just pages that I've made tea and coffee dyed. Just a variety of them. So I picked 7 of them. That one's a coffee one. Yeah, so there's, whoops, I guess I kind of got to get those in the right spot, don't I? Oops. There we go. Okay. This is why you always need to check. So yes, there's, now that's in the right spot. So these are tea and coffee dyed papers that I'm using. So we'll just double check that everything's in the correct spot. Piece. Yeah, everything's looking good. Okay, so that's going to be my 2 signatures. So the next step will be then to punch my holes into the spine for binding. So what I'm going to do for that, I'll show you. So what I like to do is I measure the width of my spine. And I like to do this in millimeters just because it's easier to do my division for me. You can do it in inches if you prefer. So I've got 26 millimeters and I want to put my signatures basically equally spaced. So I need to divide that into 3. So if I'm just going to actually shift this over to where it's 24 and divide it by 3 would be 8. So I can go 8. And from this side here, we'll go 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't have to be exact. You just want them to be fairly decent. So I'm going to just draw a line that goes through that one. Actually, what I'm going to do is up at the top here, I'm going to measure again so I can kind of get it. So there's 8. And then from this side, there's 4, 8. Okay, so now I have 2 lines that I can measure on. So I'm just going to quickly, oh no, that doesn't seem straight. Whatever. Sorry, I'm just muttering to myself about the straightness of my lines. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a line there. And I'm going to draw a line here. And you want them to be roughly straight because, oops. Oh, that piece really wants to... Okay, so you want them to be just kind of roughly straight. This is all going to be covered up by the page anyway. So then I want to find my middle. So my center will be... I'm 11.3 millimeter or centimeters. So my center would be 5.5, 6, 7, about 5.7 would be right around the center. Mark that in. And then I'm probably going to come up, let's come up about 2 centimeters from the bottom. Like I say, this doesn't have to be exact. Some people don't even measure. I like to measure. Okay, so there's my spots where I'm going to put my holes. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's one of my donkeys hee-hawing. Okay, so now I need to grab my awl. Now, technically, this isn't actually an awl. This is a bead reamer. This one is an actual awl. Not a lot of difference between the 2 of them other than that this part is rougher so that you can actually ream out the center of beads. But I like to start with this one when I'm doing things because it's a lot narrower. You can get narrower awls. I just don't have one. But I'll put links to them in the description for you. So I am going to start with my center ones, and I just press down on that, and then being very careful not to stab my fingers, I push that through. And then I'm going to do the one across from it. Biggest thing is just be careful not to stab your fingers. I have done that several times and it's not exactly pleasant. And you want to support the spine so that you don't bend it when you're doing this process. That's part of why I like to reinforce that spine so much with the extra cardstock, but it also helps if you just keep your fingers near the holes. But like I said, just make sure you don't stab yourself with the awl or the bead reamer because they're quite pointy. There. Okay, so there's my holes. Now you'll see on the outside, these, it kind of pushed these up, which doesn't look real nice. So what I like to do then is I take the edge of my thing and I just kind of, I push that back in. I push those edges down like that. There's another donkey. And then I'll push them through again from this side. And what that does is it pushes that back into the hole. And just gives it a bit of a cleaner look on this side. As you can see there, see the difference between that one and that one. And that's just a little thing. If you're making the journals just for yourself, you probably don't have to worry about it, but I like to do it. I sell my journals, so I like to do all these little extras just to make them nicer looking for everybody. And you might be asking, why didn't I punch the holes from this side in the first place? And the reason for that is because I don't want to have the lines and stuff on the outside. I just want to have, I did all my measuring and lines on the inside where it'll be covered. If I had done that on the outside here, I mean, I suppose you could just mark exactly where you want the holes to be, but I just find it easier to do it this way. There, see how much nicer that looks now from how it was before? Okay, so now I have to punch the holes in my signatures. So what I'm going to do, decide which one I want. I think I'll put this one in first. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take just a piece of, let's see, I'll just take a piece of cardstock that I have laying around. Okay, here's just a piece of leftover cardstock from something. And I'm going to fold that in half. I need to fold it this way because it has to be long enough. It doesn't really matter if it's folded perfectly. Just making myself a little template is what I'm doing. Okay, so there, like that. And then I'm going to measure. Okay, so if I put my signature, I'm going to try and put it right about there. Now, I'm not going to put it right to the bottom because the signatures aren't quite as long as the book on purpose. So I'll have my signatures about halfway between that space. So I'll put my little template there about halfway between that space. And I'm going to mark where these holes are. Now this, because it's a template, it doesn't matter which side I mark them on. So I'm just going to mark them there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip that template over like this. And then I can go in here and I can poke those holes along the spine. Just poking right where my marks are. There we go. Okay, so then what I can do is I'll just mark here which part is the top. This is the top. So then what I'll do is I'll take my signature and make sure it's all nice and tidy. And I will tuck my template inside it, right at the bottom there. Now, one of the things that I like to do just to be on the safe side, because I've done this wrong lots of times, is I'll get that all lined up properly, and then I'm going to take these paper clips and just slide them on there and on here. And what that's going to do is that's going to make sure that my, oops, not rip that page. That's going to make sure that my template doesn't slide on me when I'm poking the holes. Okay, so now I know where to put my holes. I've got it all set up. So I'm going to take my reamer and I'm just going to stick it. I'm just sticking it right where that hole mark is. And I'm just going to push it through the paper. Okay? Just like that. I'll go to the next one. I have a video showing how to do this stitch specifically that I'll link to as well, so that you don't have to, if you forget how to do it and you want to do it but you don't want to watch this whole long video, you can just click on my quick pamphlet stitch video, because that's what we're going to do, is a pamphlet stitch. That's the one that I use most often. Okay, so then other key thing, make sure you take your template off so that you don't accidentally sew that in. Okay, so now what I like to do is, rather than going ahead and poking holes in the second one right away, I'm going to leave my paper clips on there, holding it where it's a good spot, and I'm going to go ahead and sew this one in. So now I'm choosing what I want to use to sew it. Now, because this is that nice blue color, I think I might see if I have some blue embroidery cotton. Now I just use plain old embroidery cotton. I have some different blues here. So let's take a look and see what we think would look the nicest. So I could go with a real deep dark blue. I could go with something that's more matching this background. I could go light. This is more of a greenish blue. I don't think I'll use that one. I'm kind of leaning towards this dark blue. I think it'll look more elegant. So why don't we use this dark blue? Because you're going to see the thread on the outside. So let's go ahead and we'll use that. So I'm going to move these other ones off. And I'm going to grab my little sewing kit. And I'm going to pull out a darning needle. So that's a darning needle. It's made for yarn or thread. It's got a wider end. And I'll put a link to those in the description. And I think that's all I need out of here. Oh, my threader. That makes life easier. So I'll put links to all of that in the description. as well. Okay, so I'm just going to take a piece of this and I'm going to go ahead and put it onto here. Now in this case, I'm going to just go ahead and cut this because it doesn't matter if I have too much. I just don't want to have too little. So I'm going to cut a nice long piece. Sometimes I don't cut them. Sometimes I'll wait till I've sewn it and then I'll cut it after, especially if it's a bigger journal. So I'm not 100% sure how much I need. But in this case, I know that this is more than enough. So yeah, so then I just put my needle on there. Go ahead and put that through. And my needle is threaded. Okay, so for a pamphlet stitch, I'm going to, and this is going to be my back signature because I like to work from the back with my signatures. I just find it easier. So I'm going to go through the center hole here and leave a bit of a tail, and then I'm going to go through that center bottom hole on here. Now I don't worry too much about it being tight or anything yet. Now I'm going to go back in through the upper hole. Now if you wanted to put some beads or something along the spine, you could do that here too. Before you go in this upper hole, you would thread some beads onto here. I've done that on some of my bigger journals. I'm not going to do it on this one. Now I got to put it back in through this hole. Now with those paper clips in there, it's a little bit easier to get it all the way through to the center because it holds everything in place. If you don't have the paper clips on, or if you're struggling to get it through, you can just go through a few papers, then through the next few, however works easier for you. Okay, then I'm going to take it and I'm going to go all the way through the bottom hole. Put that through. And through the bottom hole here. There we go. And now I'm going to go back through that center hole. And this is just a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Hi, Raven. Got Raven the cat coming over to see what we're doing again. And now I want to go back through that center hole. Raven, you got to get off, honey. I know you're always so interested in what I'm doing. At least he's not getting glue on his paws this time. So I want to go back through that center hole and go through here. Now I want to try and make sure when you're going through here, see I've got it caught this string and it's through that string. I don't want it to go through that string, so I need to take it and make sure it's not stuck there. We'll bring that through. Okay, so now what I've done, you can see I had an accident here and I got it through this string, which we don't want as well. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and I'm going to actually take it off of here now because you can't tie it properly if it's through the other string. So I'm going to take it right off of my needle. There we go. And then I'll just pull it through there. So now you can see it's through. I have 2 distinct strings. I'm not through this center one, so it's perfect. So now I'm going to just make sure that everything is nice and tight. And it looks like I might be through another string there. You see what I mean when I say through a string? It's not, I can't spread this and reach the whole bottom because it's through that string. So let's take my needle again. And it's a good thing when these things happen because then I can show you guys what I do to fix it. So yeah, there. I just pull it back through there. There. Because I want to have it so that, there, see, I can spread it and it's right at that, at the fold. Because that'll allow me to tie it nice and tight. So I'm good here. And I'm just going to open it up and make sure that this is good. Everything looks fine. So how I tie this off is I want to have one of the strings on each side of my center string here. There we go. So I have one string on each side of the center string. Pull it tight, but don't pull it too tight because you don't want to rip anything. And I'm just going to tie a knot in it. And then I think on this one, sometimes I'll tie a little bow or something like that. I think on this one I'm just going to snip it and leave it short. Just like that. And then I have some strings that I can save and use for tassels or that sort of thing. So that's that one. I'll pull these off. And you can see now that I have my back signature in. And you can flip through it. And there's my center. Sometimes what I'll do, if I don't want that center showing, I mean, I usually don't mind because I think it's cute to have it showing, but you can add an extra center piece that then you close and glue. Like, let's say it was this one, say this was a little shorter or something. I could close that and glue these sides and then tuck things in it as a pocket, and then you never see those strings. So just another option for you. Okay, so I will do the second one, and I'll probably fast forward through this part because you've seen me do one. Okay, I'm back. So we have our pages in our journal now. So you can see we've got two nice signatures in here. There's, not including these cover pages, there's 7 pages per that I used per signature, which means that it'll be 28 pages. But it would be actually 30 writing pages because for each signature, because you can write on this side too. So each signature, so it's a 60 writing page journal. So there you go, you got those in there. Now, I think what we're going to do next is I'm going to just tuck a couple things in here. So I'm thinking I'm going to use, I've got some cute little tags that I made here. So just some cute little tags that I made. I do sell these as well. I'll put a link to them up. Kind of vintage style tags. What should we use? Look nice in there. So you can tuck it right in here. That one looks pretty cool. What about this one here? This is a really vintagey looking one. Oh, that looks kind of nice, eh? Why don't we tuck that one in here, that vintagey tag in there. And then I could either tuck another tag in here, or actually what I might do on this side, what I might do on this side actually is I might make a little writing spot. So I'm just going to actually put my stowing stuff away so I don't lose it. Okay, so if I'm going to make a little tag to go in there, let's see what I have left over here. I don't know if I have much left for that material that I cut off. No, I don't really. Nothing big enough. Okay, so I'm going to go back into. Well, do I want to use one of these, or is that too much of the same thing? Maybe I will. So I can fit something in here that is about. If I look at that gap, it goes from about here to here. So that's about. I'd be probably okay with something at least about 4.5 centimeters wide. So if I was going to make a little tag book. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and fold this in half. And then I'm going to measure 4.5. And I'll measure 4.5 up here. And I'm just going to cut that quickly. Okay, so let's see if that will fit in there. Ah, yes, it will. And I think that looks cute because it matches this. So put that in there, and let's snip the corners and make it look a bit more like a tag. That looks kind of cute. And should we put like a little piece of ribbon or something on it? And then the person can write on the inside here if they want. Yeah, let's put a little piece of, let's see, what do I got laying around here? Well, I do still have a little bit of that stuff that I used for this pocket in there. So why don't I just take a piece of that like this and put that on the top of that. That would look kind of cute, eh? So there, we'll take that and we're gonna just do it on this front part. I'll glue it. Okay. Gluing will probably look nicer anyway because then you don't see the staple. Okay, get that stuff out of my way. Close the knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here. And then put that down on it. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on top because it'll just go through it. That'll make sure it stays on there nice. And then I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing on this side. Fold that in half. Make sure that's glued down really well. Move the excess off. There you go. Okay, now I'll just let that dry and then we can tuck that into that spot. Okay, so we'll let that dry while we do our ribbon closure. So I was thinking what might look cute on this one is if I had some nice ribbon. So I'm just going to see what I have on my desk here, otherwise I'll go over to my other spot. I think I might. Kind of want some light blue ribbon, I think. I'll be right back. I found a couple things I'm going to use. I think this gold ribbon would look pretty, and as long as there's enough of this blue ribbon for me to use, I think there will be. Yeah, I think it can be enough. So what I kind of wanted to do is, here, I'm going to just cover that up. What my thought is if I took a little bit of each and I go through the hole like this. Put the blue on top. through first. Put my blue one through. Let's see if I can get this other one through. And I'm going to have to do them at the same time. Put that one inside the blue one for starters. You know what I'm going to try? I saw somebody do this once and it worked really well. I'm going to cut a little bit off of that so that I have less that I'm trying to stick through there. Works nice. There we go. So I'm going to take that through there, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie a knot in it. It doesn't have to be right down at the bottom because I'll pull it through on the other side. Tie it like that. There we go. And then I can pull it back through here and it butts up against that. It's like that. And now I was thinking what might be fun is to have it, let's see, how was I wanting to do that? I think I wanted to make it long enough that it could go around the journal. And I'm going to cut it about there, I think. Okay, so that's for that side. And then, don't worry, I'll get rid of that after, once I figure out what I'm doing. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Move that stuff out of the way. So then I'm going to take these and I'm going to, now a person could, if they wanted to, could leave a little bit and put a dangle on it or something. That might look kind of cute, but for sure cut the blue one off. There, and I'll cut this blue one off here. Can I leave that gold one? I think I'll cut it off. Okay, so now that those are cut off, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to do sorry guys, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Take that around like that. And take this one around like this. Alternatively, if you didn't want all this ribbon, you could always just cut it short and have it just go across the opening. And then when I'm closing my journal, I'll just tie that loosely. Like that. Doesn't that look pretty? Now I am thinking one thing that might be nice, be a nice addition, so that you're not struggling with these pieces so much, would be if on the very ends of each one I put, say, a bead or something. So I think I'm going to do that. Okay, so I had to take a quick break for a moment there, and while I was on my break, I got to thinking about something that might look cute on this journal, and that is putting some beads on these strings. I had been thinking originally, what I was going to do just before I left was to put a bead right on the end, but I think I might put, I'm thinking maybe 3 beads. I think I'll go with these lighter ones. So it needs 6 of them. These are just wooden jewelry beads. Get them about the same size. That's not bad. About the same size. Oh, this one might be a little better. Yeah, that one's better. And that one's a little better. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is, okay, so first thing I'm going to do to make my life a lot easier is I'm going to do this again on my end. I'll show you the first one and then I'll probably fast forward because it's quite repetitive. Okay, so let's hope that this works. If my beads don't roll away. So I'm going to just stick that. If I have to, I can always use my darning needle, but I'm hoping I can just get it to go. Might have to use the needle. Let's see. Is it going to work? Aha, I got it. Okay. So I'll move that one up to about, I don't want it to be right at that edge, but to about there. I was originally thinking I would tie knots on either side, but I don't think I'm going to need to because this is so wide. I think it'll just sit where I want to put it, and then whoever uses the journal can always move it later if they want. I'll just tie a knot for after the final one. Okay, so I'll put these other ones on and then I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. So what do we think of that? That looks kind of neat, doesn't it? Makes for kind of a pretty little thing for closing it. You guys got to watch my fumbly little fingers try and do that. I had bicep surgery in 2020. I ruptured my bicep tendon trimming horse hooves. That's what I do for a living. And ever since then, my fine motor skills aren't quite what they used to be, unfortunately. So my hands get a little shaky sometimes. Okay, so while we were doing that, this had a chance to dry, mostly. I can tuck that in there. So that looks cute. And I think I will just do up my closure, and then we'll see. So now we go around like that, and we go around like this, and we discover that we made it too, that made it too small to tie. I ended up shortening my ribbon too much. Oh well. That would have looked kind of neat. But you know what else would just look pretty? Is to just take these and tie them like this. I'm going to do that. This is where you discover when you've screwed something up. I'm going to move that out a little bit further. Maybe keep these down towards the end. Like that. And then I can tie this to keep my journal closed. That's still kind of cute because you got these nice little danglies on it, closed like that. And you could always do something if your journal gets nice and thick. You always have more room. So there we go. So we took a boring old Pillbox and turned it into this adorable little journal. So if you give that a try, let me know in the comments and let me know how it went for you. There's a couple of things that I've figured out as I went that I thought on the next one that I make I'll change. One is I'll possibly do a bit of a different closure. I don't know if I would do that again because it won't go around and tie nicely. The other thing I would do is, you see where this one here, I had to split the paper. What I would probably do the next time is I would cover this inside part with two separate little sheets of paper that butt up right in the center there so that it doesn't look as rough as that. That's probably what I would do there. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with it overall. I think it makes a very cute little journal. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. So let me know if you give that a try, and we will see you on my next video. Okay guys, just wanted to pop back on for a minute to show you the change I made. So when I realized that this wasn't gonna be a good closure, I tried a few different things, a few different ideas, and eventually what I went back to was my original idea where I just undid my knots, pulled off two of the beads on each side. So now it closes like this. So this one comes around here, this one comes around here, and then you can do a nice little tie to keep the journal closed. Yeah. So that's the cute little journal. And I like how that turned out. So I just wanted to quickly show you guys the change that I made because it was bugging me. So yeah, let me know if you give this a try. Have a good night.